Hello everybody and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap up for you guys. I read 6 books in August, I believe, but one of them's like a really short book, which like I debated counting, but I'm going to, so it's fine. So I'm going to attempt to go in order off the top of my head because I'm using my phone to film and my laptop is upstairs, so I really don't want to go pull up Goodreads. But I think I have a decent idea of what I read and we're just gonna get into it. This month is a little bit disappointing because I don't have a lot of physical copies of these books. Like I literally only have 2 of them. It's so much more fun to hold up a book instead of just putting it like on the screen, but it's fine. We're working through it. The first book that I read in, I almost said March. The first book that I read in August was The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare. This is actually the very last Cassandra Clare book that I had to finish. It was a little bit bittersweet finishing this book because it was the very last book of the Shadowhunters Chronicles that I had to finish for me to be like completely caught up with it all, which is like, I know it's not over, but it's still kind of sad that I ran out of new material. I think I liked the Red Scrolls of Magic a little bit more, but I did enjoy the amount of gem content in this book, so it was fine by me. I also really enjoyed getting to take a look into some of the other institutes around the world. Like we spent, I think the majority of the time in this book at the Shanghai Institute. So it was really interesting to see like the people that live there because I feel like we literally stay in like 3 institutes for like the entirety of the rest of the series. So it was just cool to go somewhere different, and overall I did enjoy the story. It got like a 3 out of 5 stars, I think, which isn't bad. It was just kind of average for me. So yeah, that's the, people wanted to call it the Red Scrolls of Magic. This is the Lost Book of the White. Next up, I think at the same time that I was reading this, I was listening to, I think my favorite book of the month. I listened to on audiobook Well Met by deluca. This book was so good. This is about Emily, I think, who gets roped into doing a Renaissance fair, and then there's like this guy there who's like a total jackass, but obviously they end up, you know, becoming an item because that's how all romance books go. But it was just so fun to see them like preparing for the Renaissance fair, interacting like in character and all that stuff. It's a little bit of like rivals to lovers kind of thing, and it was just really, really fun. Like, it got a 4 stars from me. The ending was a little bit meh. It does go into like that typical 3rd act conflict kind of thing that a lot of romance books do, and it really pisses me off because I just want everyone to be happy, but no. But if you can look past like the last 50 pages, it's fantastic. I loved it. I really liked the love interest and our main character. I just thought it was really fun, really well written. I enjoyed it immensely. Next up, I read the second book that is in this little, I don't know if it's really a series, more so they're all just kind of related. This one also got a 4 out of 5 stars for me, even though I do think I enjoyed this book more than I enjoyed Well Met, solely because I really liked the main character a lot. Like, I think her name, I always forget her name. I did this in the vlog where I'm reading it too, and I just, it's with like, damn it, what is her name? Stacy. Yes, her name is Stacy. There we go. So yes, our main character's name is Stacy. She's very like typical basic girl kind of thing. She likes Starbucks. She likes taking selfies, which typically I would find incredibly annoying. But I really couldn't help but like this main character. Like, I don't know what it was. She was posting about like PSLs on her Instagram, but I was like, I don't dislike you for this. Like, I'm gonna let it slide. So it was just really fun, and I liked the love interest. I also liked the plot of the story because it's kind of like a, no, I don't really want to say what it is because it kind of gives it away. Like halfway through the book, something big happened and I was like, oh my god. But like, I kind of remembered it because I think this plot point was written on the back of the book, which is a bold move, like for a summary, because I feel like it gives away like a really integral part of the story. So if you want to read this book, don't read the plot summary for it. Like, that's on the back of the book. Wouldn't recommend. Just go into it blind because that's what I did, and I still really enjoyed my time. So I would really recommend both of these books by this author. They're just such a fun time, and oh yes, and she's coming out with another book which is called Well Matched, I think next month, which is very exciting. I'm literally gonna go pick it up on the day that it releases. I'm so excited to read it because I think it follows the main character from the first book, like her sister kind of thing. So like everyone's connected, you know, so that's really, really fun. So then for the next book that I read this month, I actually have a reading vlog in which I read this book, so that's very exciting. And I was just really excited to read this book in general. I read the first 4 books in this series earlier this year, and I finally got around to the 5th one because I'm terrible at finishing series. It's fine, but I did finally read The Lightning Thief by Riordan. Obviously, this is the last book in the Percy Jackson series. I don't think I need to tell you that, but in case you didn't know, this book was such a fantastic conclusion to the series. I think it may be my favorite one out of the entire series. Maybe a bold choice. I don't know. I think before I read this one, my favorite was The Sea of Monsters, but I think this one takes the cake. I don't know. It was just so action-packed, really fast-paced, which I love sometimes in like a book. Sometimes I'm really not that into action sequences, but I think this one is just done really well, and I found them super interesting. So that was great. There's so many relationships that were like, you know, finally like coming to fruition in this book. You love to see it. Yes, this is just so good. I just can't, like, I started reading this series when I was in 3rd grade, and I finally finished it like 12 years later, so it was a big moment for me. Literally fantastic. I'm mad at myself for waiting so long to finish this book, but I've finally done it. I think really soon I'm going to start The Lost Hero, which is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series, also by Riordan, so that should be exciting as well. I think I'm gonna try and read it in September, but if I don't, that's cool too, you know. The next book that I read is a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. I think I've read like a couple like Poe stories here and there, like The Raven, Annabelle Lee, like the really well-known ones. I guess they're all well-known. I'm not explaining this correctly. I'm just gonna stop. I'm taking a mystery literature class for one of my classes, yes. I'm having a good time so far. We're talking about like where mystery began and like the first detective novel, and in case you didn't know, Poe is kind of the father of detective novels, and it starts with all of his stories that concern one Auguste Dupin, which I can say really obnoxiously because it's French. The first one we read was Murders in the Rue Morgue, which I personally found more interesting than the one that we just read, which is The Purloined Letter. The Purloined Letter literally took me like half an hour to read, so I'm not gonna count it on my Goodreads, but the Murders in the Rue Morgue did take me a little more effort, so I did count this one on my Goodreads. I don't think I gave it a rating though. It was something, let me tell you. Like, it started out pretty basic, you know, people are getting murdered, getting their heads chopped off, being shoved up chimneys, just a normal Tuesday. But then once our detective Auguste Dupin starts explaining the murder and how it happened and who the culprit is, you're kind of just like, what the fuck? Like, it's so weird. I personally really liked it. People in my class were talking how they didn't like it because they felt like it was kind of a cop-out, and in a way it was kind of a cop-out, but personally, I don't really mind. Like, just the weirdness factor intrigued me. I was like, okay, this is a thing that happened, and I enjoyed it. So the last book that I read in August is the book that I actually just finished yesterday. Very excited that I was able to add it in my August wrap-up because this video was gonna be very, very short. And that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This book actually comes out, I think in like 3 weeks maybe, but I won an Instagram giveaway, so I got an arc of it a couple of weeks ago, and I finally got around to reading it. And this book was so good. Oh my god, let me tell you. Like, obviously I'm gonna tell you, that's why you're watching this video, but honestly, when I first started reading this book, I was like 70 pages in. I really was not feeling it. Wasn't really vibing with the characters. Like, the plot was kind of uninteresting to me, but I hit a point like in the middle of the book where I could not stop reading. Like, it was just so good. I really enjoyed like the plot and the characters. I loved all the characters. There was a romance in here, and it did feel a little bit abrupt because like one second they were like not vibing with each other, and then the next second they were like in love, and I was like, I don't see what bridged the gap here. But aside from that, I still really enjoyed this story. It is a little bit heavier to read because the main topic is death and grief and how people deal with grief. I feel like there could have been more complex conversations had about the topic of grief, but I mean, for what it is, which is just like an adult fantasy, I wasn't looking for anything profound. I still really enjoyed it, and I just thought it was kind of beautiful, to be honest. Like, towards the end I was like, wow, this is a lot. I'm just going to go over here in the corner and cry, but it's fine. So, oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, there's so many references to the house in the cerulean sea throughout this book. I was absolutely living for it because I loved that book. So I just love it when authors reference like their other works in like their books. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know what I mean. If you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below, what is your favorite book that you read in August, or do you have any reading plans already for September? I actually bought a book today that is going on my reading plans for September, and that is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. So there's my answer to the question of the day. What is yours? Yes, like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.